This is Microsoft Virtual Academy, and we are getting started with Template 10. We're talking about behaviors. Hi, Darren.
Hi, Jerry.
Specific behavior today, we are talking about the
back button behavior.
The back button behavior, that's right. The back button behavior is a way of declaring a capability to... I'm really struggling on this one.
Yeah, drink more caffeine. So the back button behavior, it effectively allows you to attach a series of behaviors to the back requested operation within your application, and to be able to specify whether you can handle that back operation, effectively intercepting the back navigation and doing something else instead.
That's right. Not to be confused with the navigation inside a navigation frame. This is when the user, through some sort of affordance, either a keystroke or clicking the shell-drawn back button or the phone back button, somehow raises up the back requested. And with that, you want to do something. A common one would be I have a pop-up or I have some sort of window open, and I want to dismiss that whenever the user hits the back button one way or another. So this allows me to listen for that back event, to handle it or not handle it, and then to execute an action to close something, change a color, do whatever it is you want to do. So again, this is a trigger behavior, which means it's not extending anything. All it's doing is listening for an event and then executing actions under it. And so this behavior is useless if you don't apply or you don't add anything into its actions collection.
Yes.
Actions collection. So let's take a look at the syntax. This is the button, the back button behavior. You would add it to, and in this case, it really doesn't matter. The back button behavior listens to an event that's higher than the page. So if you add this to, in this case, it's a grid, or you add it to a button, you add it to an image, you could add it to anything. It's not listening to anything that's on the page. It just needs to be created somewhere. I might create it as high as possible, maybe, on the page.
Yep.
And then it will listen to that. And then as you can see in this one, the back button behavior is set. And then it has in it a, in this case, it's a call method action. It's calling the close pop-up. That's nice, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's a typical sort of use case. It's also one of the situations where there are many behaviors that you might have multiple instances of those behaviors on a page.
Yeah.
It would make zero sense to have multiple instances of this on a page.
Yeah, or more than one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I will point out one thing in the properties list here. That is not complete. There is one property, and it's the property of handled. And it allows you to, and you can see it up in the syntax or in the description. It's basically saying when the user clicks that back button, it might invoke navigation. If it does invoke that navigation, you can stop it. You can stop it by saying handled equals true. So that way you don't have to write any code. You can handle it all right here. And so I've got a little demo here to kind of show that off. I've got Visual Studio running, and I've got a second, or on the detail page, I have it, in this case, I have it on a scroll viewer. Again, you can put this absolutely anywhere, but if you want to see what it does, right, I listen to it and I handle it, basically saying, do not navigate back. Right? Don't, once you hear it, stop it, and then do something. So in this case, I'm just using a simple change property, and I'm changing the container inside this page to its background color red, right, whatever. Right? It's just kind of fun. And so let me go ahead and run it and show you what it looks like. This application is the minimal template. Right, so I'll go to the secondary thing, and it's invisible. There's no visibility to this, and so if I were to click this back button, it would work. But first, let me show you that I can change the settings of this page to have the back button into the page itself. So here I am back on the detail page where this is defined, and if I click this back button, it actually won't invoke this behavior, because this behavior is all about the shell-drawn back button. But if I were to go back and say, all right, now I want it to be back in the shell, it'll work just fine. I'll go in and I'll say back, and it'll change the background color to red. And because I handled it, it doesn't navigate back to the main page. In addition to that, just to show you some fun stuff, here I am again, ready. I can use a keystroke navigation. So in this case, I'm going to do Alt left arrow. That's automatic inside Template 10 to handle navigation. And so it hears that as a back requested as if I click the shell button, and also handles and terminates it, but goes ahead and executes the action. Let me give you another one. Window backspace. There's another good one. Window backspace, right? It still raises that event and executes the actions for me and then handles it as well. My mouse doesn't have it right now, but if I had a back button on my mouse, that would be the same thing as a shell back button as well. So it's really, really nice. And each one of those prevents it. So if I were to go in and make the change so it's handled as false, which is the default, by the way, I would go ahead and run it. And in that, when I navigate to the details page, if I click back, it does two things. It colors it red
very quickly,
and navigates away from it as well. So that's the reason handled exists, so that you can stop navigation. So this is the back button behavior. This is not extending a specific control, but more giving capabilities inside your application to declare against a much larger event that you can then handle and make some sort of change inside your UI. Comes free in Windows. No, it's free in Template 10,
which is also free.
And it's part of Windows 10 once you install it, I guess. And that is the back button behavior, Darren. Pretty handy. Comes in Template 10. You get it for free. Good luck.